Okay, guys, you are here live with Dave Jose, and I am coming here with my Make America Great hat and my trusty old garage shirt so that I can take you back to the nitty gritty. No shiny stuff, no fancy outfits, no lawyer talk, just plain, straight up, to the point knowledge for the people to learn to take their power back. Now, this series is called 5 Minutes to Freedom. And today I'm going to talk about your rights and how they apply in the declarations or Bill of Rights across the states. The first thing that I'm going to do is show you the Virginia Constitution, because our forefathers were smart enough to create them in a way that you would be able to understand as a teaching tool how they apply in any republic. Okay, let's read Virginia Bill of Rights. Equality and rights of men, that all men are by nature equally free. Now, this is talking about every man, all men, and independent, and have certain inherent rights, of which when they enter into a state of society, that's any state of society, guys, they cannot by any contract deprive or divest their posterity, their children, namely the enjoyment of life and liberty, with the means of acquiring and possessing property and pursuing and. Now, what we got to understand, guys, is that these are all rights you have everywhere. But it says pursuing and possessing property. Possessing property and pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. So what I want you to understand, guys, is that no matter where you are in the nation, no matter who you are, you have these rights. And when you come together and create a social compact or contract, it is in no way possible for you to divest your children of the inalienable and inherent rights that were given to them by God. Let's look at the Virginia Preamble, a declaration of rights made by the good people, that's us, of Virginia in this case, in the exercise of their sovereign power. See, they have powers over the things that are their affairs, and they are sovereign over that. And when they create governments, they are also acting as a sovereign. When a government official or government officers create political subdivisions and things below them, they are actually sovereign over their personnel. So we have to understand the nature of how this works. But let me continue reading. Of their sovereign powers, which rights do pertain to them and their posterity as the basis and foundation of government. So understand here that they created the foundation of government, put seats and offices in place to be filled by people who will serve them, handle their affairs and business that they are not there to handle. So the people, as the sovereign, left the government officials in place to take care of their matters. Okay, guys, in conclusion, I want you to see in this first video that explains the power of the people, their relationship to government, and how the bills and declarations of rights count for all men across the nation. I want you to see that the people are the ones who put government in power to serve them and handle their affairs as substitutes and agents. Now, in every state, the people declare what their rights are, and then they go ahead and say, look, just because I didn't tell you of other rights doesn't mean that they are not reserved to me. Why is this important? The reason this is important is because if you understand this the way that it really works, the government our officials are there to serve you. And if they go and conflict with what it is that your wishes are, they're actually going against the power that created them. So this is not a situation where you're asking for someone to not trample your rights because they do have the power to and you need an exemption. This is your law where you created them to serve you, and you are not bound by that law. They are. It's there to encompass them and make sure that they're restricted in trampling the rights of any people. Now, once again, you notice where it said that all men are created equal and are independent and free. You are independent of government. You are free. And that's why you have to do something wrong to harm someone before they can have jurisdiction to even come mess with you. So there you go. No matter what state the Bill of Rights is in, when you enter into any compact, they can never take away these rights. Learn it, love it, build the people, and be courageous. All right, so this is video 2 of 5 Minutes to Freedom. Today we are going to bring you the most excellent information showing you what it is that a republic is. People who are attorneys would try to tell you that a republic is a time where you have people who are representing you and they make the decisions for you about what your rights will be. Guys, nothing is further from the truth. I'm going to show you with the documents that our forefathers left in the Bill of Rights how they are actually a teaching tool to show you what a republic is and what our nation is not. Let's go. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is look at Section 2 of Virginia Bill of Rights. People, the source of power. Now watch this. That all power is vested in and consequently derived from the people. That magistrates are their trustees and servants, and at all times amenable to them. Now, I want to break this down to you guys and help you to understand what this really means. These words, magistrates, trustees, servants, and amenable. So let's break this down and look and see what we need to figure out. Magistrate, from the Black's Law 5th edition, halfway down the page. In a general sense, a magistrate is a public officer possessing such power, legislative, executive, or judicial, as government appointing him may ordain, although in a narrow sense he is regarded as an inferior judicial officer. So the first thing we got to do is realize that magistrate is just a government official. Now, let's look at the word trustee from Black's Law 5. Person holding property in a trust, the person appointed or required by law to execute a trust. Now, what we have to understand is this next definition is going to help a lot. One in whom an estate, interest, or power is vested under an express or implied agreement to administer or exercise it for the benefit of the use of another, called the sedicate trust. Now, what I want you to understand, in government, we are giving power that we have to protect our own property and rights to government officials because we can't always be there to protect our rights and live. For instance, let's say that we want to protect our property, but we also have to go to work. We can give authority as a people to government officials to in turn give authority to sheriffs or different officers who will protect your home, protect your property, and they do this as servants. So if they're protecting your property as servants and you left them in a position as a trustee to protect your property and your individual rights, a servant has no power to attack the master and remove their rights. Now, some will think it's funny that I say servants and master, but let's look at the definition. Servant, one employed to perform service in master's affairs, whose physical conduct and performance of the service is controlled or is subject to right to control by the master. Guys, if you're getting the picture, you will realize that your rights make you the master of the government. Black's Law 5th edition, amenable, subject to answer to the law, accountable, responsible, liable to punishment. Guys, the government has no power to tell you that they are immune from the laws you set before them using the common law, the Bills of Rights, or the Declarations of Rights. So let's look at the Kentucky Bill of Rights, text of Section 3. Right, the people have a right to assemble in a peaceable manner, to consult for their common good, to instruct their representatives. That means they belong to you. They're your service and you're leading them. And to petition the government or any department thereof for the redress of grievances. So guys, when they do you wrong, the law here clearly tells you that you have the power to petition and go to each one of the departments, either one of them, and tell them, hey, you made a mistake. My right says this and you did this. Therefore, I need redress of grievance. You need to fix it. You need to correct it. You need to tell your officers to make sure they understand it correctly. And this, guys, is how we win in a republic. We don't beg for them to write statutes that bind them. We tell them what our rights are by instructing them, giving them notice, giving them affidavits, and petitioning for redress of grievances. Let's win. Hello, hello, hello. Once again, you are here with Dave Jose. This is 5 Minutes to Freedom, and I want to give you a special message today. Not only am I going to talk to you about your rights and show you some of the different things, but I am going to prove with the foundational law of this country that you are in charge and the government does not make laws for you. Now, I know that might sound crazy, but I'm going to take you to the Bills of Rights, and I'm going to take you to, once again, the Black's Law Dictionary, one of the foundational dictionaries that the law professionals are using in this country. And I'm going to prove to you with their own words and with the words of our forefathers that we are in charge. And if I can't prove this, then I'm done making videos. All right, so get ready. Let's delve into some deep knowledge. Black's Law 5, Constitutional Right Definition. A right guaranteed to the citizens by the Constitution, and so guaranteed as to prevent legislative interference therewith. That means the legislature can't even write a statute, guys, that has anything to do with this right. Wait, don't you have a right to take care of your health, take care of your children, work the way you want to work, wear mask or not wear mask? What are they writing legislation about? Who gave them permission to write legislation over rights that we have in the Constitution? Now, once again, I know I sound crazy, but let's look at the case Miranda versus Arizona, a Supreme Court case. Page 491. Where rights secured by the Constitution are involved, there can be no rulemaking or legislation which would abrogate them. Abrogate them means to get rid of them or to destroy them or to interfere with them. So guys, they don't have the power to interfere with the rights that our forefathers put in the bills or declarations of rights. They are rights for the people across America. Is this starting to get heavy or what? I mean, guys, really, see, the government and the attorneys have tricked the people and flipped the creator into the creation and vice versa. So we created the framework of the law in the Bills of Rights and the Declarations of Rights to say you can be government officials and work for us as our servants and trustees, and you can never interfere with these rights. And what they've done is tricked the people to believing that they are to serve them and that they're our leaders, not our servants, and that they can make up rules and regulations and laws for us, when the law clearly said that if they take a paycheck from us and decide to work from us, that they will never touch us, and they swore an oath. Guys, they are in trouble. If you share this information with everybody, we can stop the government from running over the people. The way that we'll do this is because the people will now know and understand their role and their relationship to government. Everything in the Bills of Rights are off limits to the government. Now, some people are going to say, well, David, I still don't believe that's true, even though you showed me the Supreme Court, you showed me constitutional law, you showed me this, you showed me that. Well, let me take you to Texas Bill of Rights to even help you understand more clearly. All right, Texas Bill of Rights, Section 29. To guard against transgressions of high powers herein delegated, meaning we gave it to them, we declare that everything in this Bill of Rights is accepted. That means you ain't got it. Out of the general powers of government, and shall forever remain inviolate, and all laws contrary thereto, or to the following provisions, shall be void. Okay, guys, so let's say that government is running private programs that allow them to be able to make money and do business with other entities, and they're taking things from the people like cars, kids, houses, rights, child support money, and all types of different things. I wonder what that means if they can't go against our rights. Let's see, Black's Law 5, Conflict of Interest. Let's look at the last sentence. Generally, when used to suggest disqualification of a public official from performing his sworn duty, term conflict of interest refers to a clash between public interest and the private pecuniary interest of the individual concerned. Guys, are they locking you up in COVID programs where they make money off of the system from Social Security funds? Are they taking children for Social Security money? Are they making double payments off of child support? I think somebody just got found out. Okay. Hello to everybody. This is video 4 of 5 Minutes to Freedom. And today we're going to do something special. We're going to do something that we have not done for a while. Because when we teach you, Josh Barnett and I, when we teach you, we don't just want you to learn information, gain information, and stay the same. The purpose of these videos and the purpose of teaching you is bringing you back to what your forefathers wanted you to know in order for you to be able to express your rights, stand on your rights, and be free. So what we're going to do today is a huge call to action. See, we've been showing you that the government officials are our trustees, our servants, and we never gave them authority, and they never got the power granted to them to be able to make laws for the people or rules for the people where we would have to submit or be subject to them. The purpose of government is to maintain and protect our individual rights. That's Article 2, Section 2 of Arizona Constitution. Now, with that being said, the government has been doing some strange things. They've been writing legislation in order to deal with the mandates of forcing people to wear masks. Now, I'm happy that some people may feel in the legislature that they need to write something to stop people from harassing people. But the danger is that the government officials have been writing statutes that apply to personnel of the government, and they have not been telling police officers that it does not apply to us. They have not been telling other government officials that it does not apply to us. So when they send out somebody over mask mandates and they say, you can give tickets to any man or woman who does not do what you say, what happens is that you're restricting the people when Arizona Declarations of Rights tells us clearly that the people's freedom is to be protected. And the only ones that the government has the sovereign authority in order to restrict is its personnel. They can restrict the government's finances, not the people's. So with that being understood, I want you guys to realize that anytime someone is making legislation and they don't tell you who it applies to, then what ends up happening is that you get stress put on you and officers come after you even when they don't have the authority. And so now that we know that this is a thing, now that we know this is possible, what I want you to do is go back, look at what we're putting out in the form of a notice. I'm probably going to use ArizonaTakesAction.com for people to be able to sign up with your name, phone number, and email. And then when you do that, we will send a copy as long as you agree to be a voluntary member of our private association. So then that way all of our notices are the same. Now what we're going to do is we're going to send out at least 100 of these notices to the legislature, maybe to the Senate president and to the House, in order to make sure that they understand where the people are coming from, and then we can get clarity about what they're doing. Because I think that they may not even know. I think that there might be a lot of bar attorneys that are inside of the legislature and coming from other places and the courts that are telling our government officials that they can do whatever they want to us and don't realize that they are in a position of servitude, right? The people in the legislature are in a position of servitude. They have a trust indenture called the Constitution, and it says that they cannot restrict our rights. They can't take away our liberties. They're not supposed to be going around taking our kids, taking our houses, taking our cars, taking our money, forcing people to wear masks and follow mandates. And this is clear in the Constitution. So we want you to read this notice. We want you to get with Josh Barnett. And we want to get these things turned in. We know that he's Josh Barnett on Facebook. He is Josh Barnett for Congress, I think, on Twitter. So let's get this moving, guys. Let's get it going. Let's make it happen. And let's take our nation back. Love you guys. You be strong. Talk to you soon. What we are going to do, if I can get my screen to show us Isaiah chapter 43, in the King James Version of the Bible. Let's look at this closely. But now this saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by name, thou art mine. When thou passest through the waters, so when you go through the waters, I will be with thee. And through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. God is going to protect you. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. For I am the Lord thy God. This is verse 3. The Holy One of Israel, thy Savior. I gave Egypt for thy ransom, Ethiopia and Seba for thee. Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore, I will give men for thee and people for thy life. I want y'all to realize that God will set you up, put you in a place to fight, and give people for your life. Just so you guys can realize what I'm talking about, you know that I use the Virginia Constitution and Bill of Rights in order to show a lot of our rights. To show you how powerful God is, John Boyer is Josh Barnett's great 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 grandfather. This man was actually there with Patrick Henry in order to create the Virginia Bill of Rights and the first Constitution that these men stood on as reformers to bring forth constitutional protections. Verse 5. Fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east and gather thee from the west. I will say unto the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Even everyone that is called by my name, for I have created him for my glory. I have formed him, yea, I have made him. So what we got to realize, guys, is that God has raised up and created some people for his purpose. So if Josh and I got together by Evelyn bringing us together when people didn't want us together and brought me to a meeting where I was able to work with Josh, which sparked all of this. Imagine that Josh also had his great grandfather down the line fighting in wars to help the people to stand against tyranny. He fought in the rebellion. He had people who wanted to kill him, like the deep state. He had the biggest army against him in England wanting to destroy America. And this man stood and gave everything to be able to reform this nation and to set limits and bounds on government and create a atmosphere where the people had freedom. Bring forth the blind people that have eyes and the deaf that have ears. Let all nations be gathered together and let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this and show us former things? Let them bring forth their witnesses that they may be justified, or let them hear and say it is truth. You are my witnesses, said the Lord, and my servant, whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. I, even I, am the Lord, and beside me there is no Savior. Guys, when it comes to fighting and standing, God raises up who he wishes. There is no Savior in this world. No man is a Savior, but the Savior is God. 12. I have declared and have saved, and I have showed when there was no strange God among you. Therefore ye are my witnesses, said the Lord, that I am God. Yea, before the day was, I am he. And there is none that can deliver out of my hand. I will work, and who shall let it? Thus said the Lord, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. For your sake I have sent to Babylon, and have brought down all their nobles and the Chaldeans who cry as in the ships. I am the Lord, your Holy One, the Creator of Israel, your King. Thus said the Lord, which maketh a way in the sea, and a path in the mighty waters, which bringeth forth the chariot and horse, the army and the power. They shall lie down together, they shall not rise, they are extinct, they are quenched as tow. Remember ye not the former things, neither consider the things of old. Behold, I do a new thing, now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? I will even make a way in the wilderness. Look at Arizona. And rivers in the desert. The beasts of the field shall honor me, and dragons and owls, because I give waters in the wilderness and rivers in the desert, to give drink to my people, my chosen. This people have I formed for myself. They shall show forth my praise. Guys, we are in a situation where we are going through the same thing that God has done in history with someone connected to us. Before you can have deliverance and have mighty evil ones knocked down, you first have to have a problem for God to tear down. So guys, don't be afraid. Don't be worried. Know that God has already done this, and he has even used relatives of people who are working with us now to free the people. Let's get it done. Let's make it happen. Hey. So you are here with Dave Jose, video number 6, 5 minutes to freedom. Now, guys, today we are going to blow your mind with the most excellent knowledge. What we're going to do is we are going to resurrect the common law, that stuff that the lawyer's been trying to hide. And we're going to prove to you without a shadow of doubt with knowledge that has not been exposed in this way and in this form that nobody can deny. Get ready. We're taking the country back. All right, guys. First definition from Black's Law 5, common law. Now, let's notice the beginning of this text. As distinguished from law created by the enactment of legislatures. Now, I want to focus on that first part, guys. And if you look, it says the common law comprises of the body of those principles and rules of action relating to the government and security of persons and property. Now, why this is important, guys, is it deals with the security of persons and property, and it shows a relationship to government, but it is not written by the legislature. So focus on the fact that the common law is not written by the legislature, but when it comes to the security of persons and property, or people and their property, we have a level of law that is untouchable by the legislature. Now, we talked about that a little bit earlier in other videos, but now we're getting ready to see why this is important. Now, notice, guys, this is Arizona ARS 1-201, adoption of common law exceptions. Now, we realize that the legislature is not making the common law. So if the legislature is not making the common law, and this thing right here is going to show us that whenever the people come before the courts, that the common law is to be the rule of decision, we need to understand that whatever the common law is has nothing to do with the legislature creating it. It has nothing to do with them having power over us to create it. And whatever it is forced upon the courts. So let's read. The common law, only so far as it is consistent with and adapted to the natural and physical conditions, that means real people, of this state and the necessities of the people thereof. The people, not persons. And not repugnant to or inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States or the Constitution or the laws of this state. The common law is where the laws came from, guys. Or established customs of the people of this state is adopted and shall be the rule of decision in all courts of this state. So let's look, guys. The legislature does not write common law. But in all courts of this state, the rule of decision when the people come is to be the common law. So that means if the legislature only writes statutes and these different codes, what they're writing is not what the courts are to be judging the people on. So if the court is making a judgment on the people with a statute, that means that the court is breaking the law because they must be looking at you as something other than one of the people. So they are trying to classify you as something else in order to make you believe that you owe some debt or you're in trouble for something. And if you don't say that you're one of the people, then they can bypass your rights by presuming and assuming that you are something else. Let's see what that is. Black's Law 5, bills of attainder, such special acts of the legislature, see they're writing something now, as inflict capital punishments upon persons, not people, supposed to be guilty of high offenses such as treason and felony without any conviction in the ordinary course of judicial proceedings. Okay, guys, in conclusion, the legislature does not write common law, but the common law is to be the rule of decision for people in every court of this state. But the legislature can write something called bills of attainder, which automatically say people are guilty without normal judicial proceedings. And what they do is apply that to persons. So they say any person who's really a government officer, any person who does not follow the mandates is guilty of a misdemeanor. Any obligor person who doesn't pay this much money is guilty of not paying child support. Any non-custodial parent person who does not do this, we take their child, and they therefore bypass the common law without a judicial proceeding. So once again, guys, when the legislature is allowing police officers and different people to take your cars, houses, kids, rights away and different things without a jury, which is guaranteed in the Constitution for the people, without the rule of law, which is guaranteed in the Constitution, the Declarations and Bills of Rights in every state, how is it, guys, that they are taking your life, liberty, and property without due process? Because they're classifying you as a type of person they can easily go after and not telling everybody that this does not apply to you. Busted. Hey, you are now with Dave Jose on video number 7. And this video, of course, is part of the series that we have 5 Minutes to Freedom. What we're going to do today is help you to see something clearly. We're going to use a couple of constitutions, and we're going to break down the purpose for the Bill of Rights. I'm going to show you how the government has been stealing from the people and how to fix it. It is going to be really simple, and you're going to understand why schools and government officials fail to teach you the state bills of rights. Let's go. So let's start out with the Alabama Constitution, Section 36, Construction of Declaration of Rights. That this enumeration of certain rights shall not impair or deny others retained by the people. That means you have more than what's showed here. And to guard against any encroachments on the rights herein retained, we declare that everything in this Declaration of Rights is accepted out of the general powers of government and shall forever remain inviolate. So guys, what we see here is that everything in the Bill of Rights or the Declaration of Rights in every state is not in the power of the government. Okay, so guys, you should be starting to see that this is kind of deep, because the government officials are saying that anybody who does not want to follow their law or statute is what they call a sovereign citizen and crazy and doesn't want to follow the law. But really, the ones who don't want to follow the law are the ones who are bypassing the bills of rights. So let's say if the Bill of Rights says that you have a liberty interest in what you're going to do for work, being married, raising a family, you're going to, raise your kids. You are, you are going to travel from here to there. All these different things are in your bills of rights in your states. Now, the government officials are taking your cars, taking your kids, taking your houses, but they said that they will never take anything from you without a jury of your peers. Or did they? Or are they supposed to use a jury of your peers? Let's see. So let's check Section 10 in Vermont's Bill of Rights. That in all prosecutions for criminal offenses, a man hath the right to be heard by himself and his counsel, to demand the cause and nature of his accusation, to be confronted with witnesses, to call for evidence in his favor, and a speedy public trial. Not in these private courts where they could tell you not to come. Okay, so speedy public trial by an impartial jury of the country, without the unanimous consent of which jury he cannot be found guilty, nor can he be compelled to give evidence against himself, nor can he be justly deprived of his liberty. Children are a liberty. Your property is a liberty interest that you have, where you work, what you do for business, except by the laws of the land or the judgment of his peers. Guys, the law of the land is the common law, and the judgment of your peers is required. Now, the way they get around this, if you're a man or woman or one of the people, is they just try to act like you are a person working for the government that committed some type of crime that the legislature gets to punish, rather than looking at you as one of the people who have rights and power that the legislature cannot touch. Okay, guys, so in conclusion, I want you to see the tricks that the government are using and how to defeat it. So number one, if there is a criminal prosecution, they have to give us a jury of our peers in a public and open court with a judge that is impartial, which is what I showed you under the common law. A court of record has a judge that's independent from the tribunal, the one who is bringing the case or trying a case. Now, the thing is, guys, is that these words that I have given you are starting to come together to make a complete picture of how it's supposed to work. So let's look. We should have courts of record. As stated in Article 6, Section 30 of Arizona Constitution, the Superior Court, Appeals Court, and Supreme Court shall be courts of record. Those courts should have a magistrate, somebody in a black robe, that is separate from the one who's trying to try someone. You should have a jury of your peers. The problem is that they realize that a jury is not going to go for a lot of the fraud that they're doing. So when they're taking your children, taking your cars, taking your houses, taking your money, giving you tickets for every little thing, guys, that does not apply to you. If a jury found out what was going on, they would stop it. And so what we have to do is realize that we are supposed to have juries if they're going to take any liberty, any property, or your life. Now, what they're doing is they're just charging a person, a fictitious entity that they create, and call it a person, not one of the people or man or woman, because they know that they are not to attack men or women because they were created for our benefit. So when the government is working, they're taking care of our business as the people. So they can't go and turn around and challenge the people against the laws of the Bills of Rights or the Declarations of Rights. So then they get you to sign up inside of some contract or agreement, like for a driver's license or something of that nature, or they want you to get aid so they can say, oh, you took our aid, so now we can enslave you and take what we want. Guys, that is not true because you still have the Bill of Rights or the Declaration of Rights, which is the highest law which they swore to. Now it's time to hold them accountable and to stop this foolishness. The people will win and we will take our republic back for sure. Let's go. Hey, you are here with Dave Jose. This is once again 5 minutes to freedom. This is going to be video number 8. And what we're going to do today is talk about the 5-pronged approach to take back any republic. Let's go. Okay, guys, because the common law comes from the Bible, I'm going to give you some good old school Bible wisdom. Ecclesiastes 8:11 in the KJV. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Okay, guys, so what we notice is that most of the people who want to do something in America, who want to fight, they really don't know what to do, and they keep talking about how much power the evil people have, how much power those who are doing wrong has. And what we need to do is strike that power by controlling our servants. And that's where we are messing up. So we're about to give you the 5-step approach on how to control these servants. First step, show people fundamental law, each one teach 5. Okay, so for this section, let's understand that in order for us to hold government accountable, we first need to understand the fundamental law. How does it work? How is the law supposed to go? How do we prosecute bad actors as a people? Once we understand the fundamental law, we got to understand that there are processes that have been put in place for us to recall or get impeached bad government actors. If we don't know the law, then we can't do anything. Now, there already has been some action that has been taken to recall people. So those are probably about a third of the way to getting those people removed. So if every person who got someone removed taught 5 other people, we would have enough people to do every single thing we need to do in holding our government accountable. Step 2, open and free debates with government workers and attorneys. So what we must understand is that in order to get everything resolved, we must put it on the table. What's been happening in history is a private organization called the Bar has been blocking the people's communication with their servants and trustees called the legislature, also the judiciary and the executive branch. So what we have to do is have open debates with the legislature and their attorneys and the government workers to let them know that we understand the law and get them to show publicly where they got the authority to do what it is that they're doing. A good man named Daniel Wood actually brought this up, that people need to do quo warranto. Well, that's exactly what it means. by what authority? We need to call the authority that they're using into question, because the bar members are using the power of the government to attack the people. Step 3, recall those who refuse to peacefully speak with their employers, the people. The Constitution of Arizona lets us know in Article 2, Section 2 that the people have all political power. So, if the government workers who were placed in power by us don't want to listen, they don't want to communicate, they don't want to peacefully talk, it is our duty to remove them because they don't like being in office and working for the people. We can no longer allow them to work for foreign interests, corporations, and different lobbyists who want to give them benefits in return for harming the people. Step 4, let the judges know that we know the fundamental law and send court watchers. One thing we have to understand is that it is our duty as the people to keep judges in check. They're allowed to keep their funds and keep their position as long as they are in good behavior. So what in the world makes up good behavior? First of all, they got to follow the Constitution. And too many judges in our state of Arizona have been saying that we don't have to follow the Constitution in this court. See, they know they're working in private administrative courts, but once we understand the fundamental law, we can call those things out and prove it. And we need to let them know that we will have court watchers in the courtrooms watching their every act, and we will write affidavits of treason and maladministration, letting it be known that they are working against the interests of the people. This is how you stop the fraud in the courtrooms. Oh, and remember, the judges also can be recalled or impeached. Step 5, let all officials know that they can no longer work against the people. To conclude this video, we have step 5. We got to let all the government officials know that they can no longer work together to scam the people. For too long, they've been coming together against what's called the separation of powers in the state constitution that says that the government officials cannot work together to use each other's power in order to harm the people. That is in the Declaration of Rights and the Bills of Rights in pretty much every state constitution. So once we do this, guys, these people know and realize that they can no longer use their power to attack us. They can no longer use judges to harm the people. They can no longer go against the state constitutions, and they can no longer listen to lobbyists and attorneys who make money off of our demise. So guys, this is how you stand up and take back the republic. Let us know if you want to get down and do it. Get with Josh Barnett, get with We the People AZ Alliance, or you can get with me. Put your information in my site at Arizona Takes with an S, takesaction.com. Let's go. All right, you are here with Dave Jose. This is 5 minutes to freedom. We're going to get jiggy on this one. This is video number 9. And in this video, you're going to see the people do the work that they're supposed to do. So what do we have? We've given you all these action steps. We've given you the instructions on how to lead your legislature, your government officials, how to petition them, how to move them to do what's right, and how to get rid of the fraud. So we're going to put this stuff to the test. What we're going to do is we are going to give notice to the legislature of Arizona and let them know that we want Jovan Pulitzer to be part of the audit, or to do the audit, because he has the skill and know-how to get this done right. We're also going to let them know that by the law and by Supreme Court cases and federal cases, that the people have the highest power. The people have the sovereign power. The state went to court with the Board of Supervisors, and the Board of Supervisors got put in check because they are a political subdivision, which is under the sovereignty, which is a level of sovereignty of the government workers in the legislature. So the Board of Supervisors are below the legislature. Now, we are stepping in as the supreme sovereign because we created the government seats as the people. So we hold all political power. So what are we going to do? We are going to give notice to the legislature, tons of us, and we're going to broadcast it publicly with Josh Barnett and others. And we're going to let the people know in the legislature that we are not for games. We're happy that they have learned what their sovereign power is. But now we're going to step in and use our authority. I also got a message today that the attorneys for the legislature which is kind of funny because attorneys are officers of the court, the same courts that wouldn't hear any of the cases of fraud that the other government workers tried to show to them, that Giuliani and Sidney Powell, which have nothing to do with this case. Sidney Powell, Giuliani, and all those people have nothing to do with what's going on here. This is the people taking action. But the very problem that happens is the bar attorney said, and they came out openly talking about this, that anybody who helps Trump go after election issues, that they're going to go after their license. And they kept their promise. They went after Sidney Powell. They went after Lynn Wood. They also went after Giuliani. So what do we realize? If the people are the ones who told Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and these other people that we want integrity and that we want people to look after these elections, if the bar members come out and say, no, you can't have that, or we don't want that, or now in Arizona, someone is saying, I'm not sure, I got to confirm it, that the bar attorneys are saying, slow down, we don't want the ballots yet because we don't have anywhere to put them. Listen, the bar is a private organization that has its own goals and beliefs. They license themselves with their own cards, right? They have their own bar president that signs off on their cards in different states. They are not state government workers. They are also called officers of the court. They swear with the court in order to be able to practice. So if they are officers of the court, the people are tired of bar attorneys interfering with what it is that the people want. When the board of supervisors were fighting, it was a bar attorney that was giving them knowledge and information to make them fight. So there was somebody teaching them wrong, giving them bad information, letting them believe that it was okay. Yet no court stood up and said, hey, what y'all doing are wrong. Somebody write an arrest warrant or police go after them and we'll deal with it. Nobody said that. The bar didn't say, hey, let's punish our own bar members who decided that they were going to tell the board of supervisors that they don't have to give up these documents. They wanted to waste our time. So guys, as a people, we are the sovereign power, not sovereign citizens. We're not citizens of these people. We are the power. We created the government and put all this stuff in place. So when people try to call you some type of name for exercising your authority or power, they're trying to trick you out of your power. So let's get going. Let's get moving. Watch what we do. Everybody join in. We're going to take this thing down by God. Let's go. Hey, you are here with Dave Jose. This is 5 Minutes to Freedom. The video might go a little bit over 5 minutes, but today we're going to talk about a hot topic that nobody wants to tell the truth about. We're going to talk about this term, sovereignty. Now, it seems that the FBI, certain government officials, lawyers, want the people to believe that the state is sovereign and that they have power over the people. The people, in many cases, want to believe that they have power, but they feel like they don't. What I'm going to do is bring you to one of the most important cases and one of the first constitutional cases of great importance that it seems that nobody is talking about. And why does nobody talk about it? Because it reveals the truth. Now, one other thing I'm going to let you see is that the creation, the state, has been put in a position where they believe that they have power over the people, the creators of the state. And so I'm going to show you how this is twisted. I'm going to show you the attack on the sovereignty of the people. I'm going to show you how long ago it's been going. And I'm going to show you how to reverse this and stand on your rights. Let's go. Okay, guys, this is from the case Chisholm versus Georgia. I'm going to read the red part. The only principles of law, then, that can be regarded are those common to all the states. So another thing we're going to discuss is this term, common law. I tell you guys that the Bills of Rights and Declarations of Rights around the country in every state are exemplary of common law. What I mean is that these are the rights that the government can't touch that are common to all men. I'm not going to just say this, though. I'm going to show you the truth. Let's see. There's some laws that are common to every state. Let's scroll down. The common law, a law which I presume is the groundwork of the laws in every state in the Union. Remember, I showed you guys how the Bills of Rights and Declaration of Rights is the untouchable rights of the people in the constitutions, and it lays the groundwork for what the government can't touch. Remember, I showed you guys Texas Constitution, where it showed that all the Bills of Rights were untouchable or not exempted. It was actually excused from the power of government. This is the foundation that the government entities and the attorneys in many cases does not want us to know. Here's an excerpt from a constitutional law class. In Chisholm, the justices of the Supreme Court rejected Georgia's claim to be sovereign. They concluded instead that to the extent the term sovereignty is even appropriately applied to the newly adopted Constitution, it rests with the people rather than with state governments. Okay, guys, attorneys and judges will squirm at page 2, US 455. Watch this. Which I make of the latter. In doing this, I shall have occasion incidentally to evince how true it is that states and governments were made for man, meaning the people. And at the same time, how true it is that his creatures, the ones we created and put in office, and servants have first deceived, next vilified, and at last oppressed their master and maker. Guys, what he is trying to tell you is that the government officials and those who are creating schemes have looked at you as the people, vilified you after deceiving you and making you think that you are not in power. They made you believe that the government is here to control you and that you are to serve the government and follow their every order. They have deceived you. Then they vilified you by making statutes telling police and other people that if you don't follow, you're some type of sovereign citizen, when it was not your duty to follow the government. The government was made for man, to serve you, to bring forth your needs, to benefit you. And they have tricked you to make you think that you are to benefit them. Let us go deeper. Man, fearfully and wonderfully made, is the workmanship of his all-perfect creator, speaking of God. A state, useful and valuable as the contrivance, is the inferior contrivance of man, and from his native dignity derives all its acquired importance. Okay, guys, so at the end of 1700s, right, I am showing you very powerful Supreme Court justices who understand the law, who understand the truth, telling you that the creature, the state government workers, and the state have tricked you, deceived you, vilified you, and made you believe that you are to serve them and that you are below them. We have no king in America, but they want to act like they are your king. They want to act like they could take your property. The only problem is that the Constitution does not allow for the government to just take your property. They don't allow for the government to take things from you, your life, liberty, or pursuit of happiness from you without a jury of your peers and you doing something wrong that harms someone, right? So I'm showing you guys that many of you are even speaking terms like sovereign citizen and saying things that was created to vilify you. It was created to take away your power. And yet your psychology is forcing you to believe that the government is correct when they speak these things. So guys, this case, in the sense that people of other states are suing a state in its sovereign capacity without its permission, was overturned, but not it was not overturned that the people are the power, right? It is not overturned that the people have rights that the government cannot touch. And so don't let attorneys trick you and say, oh, that was overturned by the 11th Amendment or something like that. No. The people have always been the power. The people have the ability to change the Constitution at will, and the people reign supreme. Know your power, know your worth, know their dirty tricks. Let's go. Hello, hello, hello. You are here with Dave Jose. This is 5 Minutes to Freedom, and we're on video number 11. The title is To Court or Not to Court. We are going to release some heavy deception. Let's go. Now, for many of you guys, you wonder if these vaccines that they're talking about forcing, the COVID program and lockdowns and mandates and CPS, where they're just taking kids all across the nations. Sophia Zori posted about a case out of the country yesterday where a judge said that because somebody did not wear a mask or follow a mandate or something of that nature, a parent was allowed to have their child taken. And they were doing this inside of a family or juvenile, what they call a court. Now, my question for you guys, with all these mandates, with all these executive agencies, with all these different things that we are seeing happening, are we really being brought into courts, or would the government ever deceive us? We're going to go deep into some knowledge that most people will never hear, most lawyers will never teach, and in the process, they will steal more property from you, more wealth, and more of your rights than any other time in history. You got to see this. Let's go deep. Okay, so what we're going to look at is United States versus Meeker, 350 U.S. 179, 1956. Now, in this case, a man was called before an administrative officer by subpoena. Now, guys, I want you to realize that there are a lot of executive branch subpoenas and notices and citations being sent out. But have you slowed down to stop to see if these are actually judicial proceedings, or is the court trying to, or the entity trying to trick you? Now, here's where to get funny. My schooling is in psychology, and I can tell you that right now, some brainwashed and some programmed people will start to say, come on, Dave, what do you mean the court trying to trick you? They're the government. That wouldn't happen. Okay, so let's look at Section 235A of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952 and what it provides. Any immigration officer shall have power to require by subpoena the attendance and testimony of witnesses before immigration officers relating to the privilege of any person to enter, re-enter, reside in, or pass through the United States, or concerning any matter which is material and relevant to the enforcement of the act and the administration of the service. So let's see what this case held. This section does not empower an immigration officer to subpoena a naturalized citizen who is the subject of an investigation by the service to testify in an administrative proceeding before such officer where the purpose of the investigation is to determine whether good cause exists for the institution of denaturalization proceedings against such citizen under 340A, so on and so forth. All right, pay close attention, guys. This statute is kind of worded funny, but it doesn't give power to an immigration officer to subpoena somebody who's a naturalized citizen or subject to an investigation, or to bring them before an administrative hearing officer, which is not a judge. So if somebody is taking you before someone who's not a judge, but tricking you or making them wear certain clothes or making them give documents that look like it's an order when it's not, is that not deceptive practices? Now it's going to get deep because I got a good friend in one of my groups. And as I said, Sophia just put out something about a administrative law guy calling himself a judge in a family court or juvenile court trying to take a kid over something with not doing something with COVID. But guys, these people will subpoena you or draw you into a hearing or write an order for you to go into a hearing, try to figure out if they should take your child in an investigation, but it is not a judicial hearing. So what's happening is an administrative branch agency is forcing you to do something under deception that you don't have to do. If it's not a criminal case, why are they making it compulsory for you to come in and telling you you have to tell something, or you have to speak up and give them this information that they want? All right, let's dig more into the case. Powers sought to be exercised that make for a restrictive reading of this genus-faced word witness. The subpoena power is a power capable of oppressive use, especially when it may be indiscriminately delegated and subpoena is not returnable before a judicial officer? Guys, is the court, the Supreme Court, trying to tell you that sometimes someone will give you a subpoena and then is not returnable before a judicial officer, but only an administrative agent who can't hold a court with no judicial proceedings? All right, now look at this. True, there can be no penalty incurred for contempt before there is a judicial order for enforcement, but the subpoena is in form an official command, so they're tricking you. And even though improvidently used is not correct, it has some coercive tendency, either because of ignorance of the rights on their part of those whom it purports to command, or their natural respect for what appears to be an official command, or because of their reluctance to test the subpoena's validity by litigation. I don't know if you guys caught what that meant, but what it means is that the people are deceived into believing that it is a real subpoena before a court, and because they don't know, they don't take it to a real court and fight it, so they're just abused. Wake up, my people. Hello. You are here with Dave Jose. This is 5 Minutes to Freedom, video number 12. Today we are going to go live. We are going to take things to the next level because we're going to deal with the psychology of people. We're going to discuss and talk about the different issues that we are having as people in America. We're going to talk about one of the biggest issues, even though we're fighting like crazy in Arizona, that would slow us down and block us from being able to fight and win and push through. Now, we can all agree that most of us did not know what was in the state constitution. We did not really know our rights and how to stand on them, how to really fight effectively using the law. We have went back to the old times, found those hidden laws that the attorneys have hid from us, like in Luke 11:52. You can see right here where Jesus explains that lawyers were going to hide the key of knowledge from the people, or that's what they do. They don't enter into the law and they hinder people from doing it. So a lot of times attorneys will tell you that you don't have a right to do this or that, or you don't have a power, or based on the United States Constitution, which doesn't show all your rights, you're not able to do this. So what I'm going to do is take you back to the old school times. I'm going to take you back to Georgia Constitution. We're going to look in Georgia Constitution and see how government was set up. When you understand the purpose of government, how it was set up, and what our powers are in relation to the government, it will allow you to be able to clearly and in a concise manner explain what your rights are to government officials, hold them to it, and therefore change things at a massive level, a massive scale, quickly. Let's go. All right, so let's start off with Georgia Bill of Rights from 1877 Constitution as ratified without subsequent amendments. Watch this. All government, now this isn't just talking about one state of Georgia, this is talking about the people's rights all over America. All government of right originates with the people. So remember, the people came together to figure out how they wanted to do things. Watch this next part, it's important. Is founded upon their will only. Now notice, this does not say that it's founded upon the will of the government officials or the legislature or what they want or the governor or anything like that. The government is to be founded upon the will of the people. So if there's something that you want now in government, is it based off the legislature saying we want this, or we might want Jovan or not to edit the ballots or audit the ballots? Or should it be based off of the will of the people? What do we want? And is instituted solely for the good of the whole. Now watch this. This is how the lawyers are tricking you. Public officers are the trustees, right? They have a trust indenture telling them the only things they can do. And servants of the people. They're our servants, y'all, not our leaders. Lastly, and at all times amenable to them. Guys, at all times they are bound to us. They are accountable to us. Therefore, it's not about what they want. It's about what we want and our happiness. Okay, so now that you understand that they are our servants and trustees, right? You should be able to clearly see that it is not about their will and what they want. It's about ours. So if it's about our will, we have to ask a question. Have we been telling them what our will is in a way that they cannot just cover up and remove? So we should be instructing our representatives, telling them what to do. So then this way they can handle our business. And when we see that they're messing up, we can go back to them and say, correct this, fix it. Let's see. All right, I believe this is California Declaration of Rights or Bill of Rights. Text of Section 3, the people have the right to instruct their representatives. See, you should be telling them what to do. Petition government for redress of grievances. Make them fix it when it's wrong. The next part, the people have the right of access to information concerning the conduct of the people's business. See, so it is your business that they are handling and you have a right to it. You are to control it and make sure they don't get out of line. Watch this. And therefore, the meetings of public bodies and writing of public officials and agencies shall be open to the public, guys. And some people in the legislature might not want you to say anything about what they're doing, but notice the word there called scrutiny is open to the public scrutiny. Okay, guys, so as you can see, based on the state constitution of Georgia, which applies all over, it's just the rights of the people. It's our natural rights when we create governments to create governments based on our will, what we desire. It only makes sense that the government is to continue based on what the people's will is. Remember what it just said here, that it is the people's business, and the government does not get to tell you you cannot scrutinize us, or their public writings and their talks with each other are to be secret. Guys, it is our duty to instruct them, give them notices, make affidavits, let them know what it is that is their duty and what they must do for us, and we will not take no for an answer. You want a full audit? You want to use Jovan? You want to do other things? Write notice to the legislature and let them know this is the law and this is what we want. Period. Let's go. Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for watching this 5 Minutes to Freedom video with us today. This is video 13. And today we are going to drop some bombshell information. We are going to show how a judge named Judge Hanna, I believe it's in the Superior Court of Arizona, went after the GOP for their lawsuit to try to get an audit because the people had concerns and had mistrust for the results of 2020 election. While doing that, we are going to compare that to something else that the courts are doing in Arizona, and we're going to show you the big scam that's being placed on the people. Tune in. Okay, here's the Epic Times article explaining what happened in the case. Let's read. The plaintiff goes on to say that public mistrust following this election motivated the lawsuit, Hanna wrote. Hanna is the judge. The plaintiff is effectively admitting that the suit was brought primarily for an improper purpose. Okay, so I want you guys to realize that the judge has a problem with someone bringing a lawsuit just because someone has mistrust of someone else or something else. This is important for the rest of the video. Keep that in mind. Okay, it gets better. Public mistrust is a political issue, not a legal or factual basis for litigation, he added. Okay, Black's Law 5, definition of political. Pertaining or relating to policy or the administration of government, state or national. Okay, guys, so what I want you to see is that certain issues or arguments are political. They have nothing to do with the law applied in the state, the actual fundamental laws and the laws made in pursuance thereof, or the Constitution and the statutes that are made based on the Constitution. They more so have to do with public policy, how administrations want things to go, what types of things they believe they should be able to control, not necessarily violations of the black and white law and how people are affected when they do those types of things, and it is proven. Let's take a look at the Constitution so we can get an example. Article 2, Section 4 of Arizona Constitution. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Okay, so let's understand that Arizona is a common law land and that we must follow the common law first in order to make sure we're doing things right. The word I want you to look at is the word liberty, because you have a liberty interest in your children. Let's look deeper into that. Here's from a case, Troxel versus Granville, 2000, Supreme Court case. Justice O'Connor, joined by the Chief Justice, Justice Ginsburg, and Justice Breyer, concluded that 2610-163, as applied to Granville and her family, violates her due process right to make decisions concerning the care, custody, and control of her daughters. Now let's look at Part A. Due process clause has a substantive component that provides heightened protection against government interference with certain fundamental rights and liberty interests. Washington versus Glucksberg, including parents' fundamental right to make decisions concerning the care, custody, and control of their children. So we now see that liberty interest deals with the care, custody, and control of your children. Remember, the government cannot take away a liberty interest, your life, or your property without due process of law. So let's look deeper into what they owe us for this due process of law. Well, Article 2, Section 23, trial by jury. The right of trial by jury shall remain inviolate. Inviolate simply means they cannot take it away. So why is it that in Arizona, in CPS cases, they're allowing someone to take away your liberty interest, removing your children from you, from your care, custody, and control, but they will not give you a jury of your peers? So only a judge that is acting as a hearing officer and not a judge, and a CPS worker is deciding that you can't have your kids. Is that based on a common law, guys? Let's go back to Troxel versus Granville. Washington's breathtakingly broad statute effectively permits a court to disregard and overturn any decision of a fit parent concerning visitation whenever a third party affected by the decision files a petition based solely on the judge's determination of the child's best interest. Guys, I want you to realize the term best interest does not appear anywhere in the law, and it goes against the parent's will. Here's another, Article 2, Section 8. No person shall be disturbed in his private affairs or his home invaded without authority of law. We got to remember that authority of law does not mean the statute that's created for those who work in government and how they take care of things. The authority of law also has to deal with the Constitution and what the government officials swear to in the Constitution. So if they say that they will not interfere with a person in their private affairs, is your children and family part of private life? Let's see. So we're going to look about halfway down the page, and we see where it clearly says there's normally no reason for the state to inject itself into the private realm of the family to further question fit parents' ability to make the best decisions regarding their children. Did you guys catch that? We just find that the Supreme Court explains that the raising of your children and your family is in the private realm. See, they hide the difference between the public, which is government stuff, and the private, which is people in a capacity that is totally outside of government, separate from the realm of government. The public and the private do not mix. Now, what they're doing, guys, is they're taking children when a CPS worker has mistrust for a mother or a father. So in this case, it was a grandparent and a parent. But in most CPS cases and in DCS cases in Arizona, we find that a DCS worker comes before a judge and says, I have concerns. There's Cheerios on the floor. There's dirty dishes in the sink. I think the parents might do this. Or I heard that the kid said that this might have happened, and there's no evidence or proof that anything really happened, and no court, no judicial court that had a trial by jury that said a parent did anything wrong. Yet Arizona is taking 1,000 kids a month and making $1 billion a year. It is a political argument because they feel that they should have the right to take children for a child's best interest that doesn't exist in law. As a matter of fact, what if I told you guys that the CPS workers and the guardian ad litems in Arizona and the judges all know, the judges are not actually judges, they're hearing officers administratively, not courts, But they all know that they are breaking the law, but they're being trained to do it. So they feel like since they're all in, it doesn't matter. That would sound crazy, right? Well, take a look at this. This is from a guardian ad litem handbook from one of the counties in Arizona. Watch this. We say that the court is not about parental fault. That is actually true under the law. However, the dependency process is a terrifically human. While the law may say otherwise, in actual practice, fault, blame, shame, and attitude, and a host of other technically irrelevant considerations play a huge role in determining what will or will not happen to a child in the court process. None of the participants, including judges, case managers, therapists, and lawyers, are immune from the visceral reactions to parental behavior. This will no doubt include you as well. I'm about to fall apart. So notice they said their court is not about parental fault. So in a court, an actual court of record, they're trying to find out who's wrong and who's right. Notice that's not what they're doing here. Also, they tell you, even though the law says otherwise, the law tells you what it's supposed to be, we're going to use blame, shame, attitude, and other technically irrelevant things in order to make sure we're going to decide if a kid goes with the parents or not. So nowhere in the law does it say that some third-party agency that makes $1 billion a year gets to look at you, not like your attitude, not like your personality, and steal your kid from you and train people to do so. Guys, I just showed you the guardian ad litem handbook, and I believe it's Pima County, Arizona. So what you have to understand, guys, is that they are training these people to break the law. They are not looking for fault. A lot of you guys believe that if somebody's kids get taken, that it was their fault. These people can get a tip from somebody who's mad at a parent, and they could be lying. The CPS court can know they're lying, and in many cases, they will hide evidence showing that a parent was not wrong. But they will fish through your house and do an audit and try to find anything to punish you for so that they could take your child without telling people that they make $83,000 to $140,000 a year for every child that they take. And the money is split up between those same participants who are knowingly breaking the law to take your kids. Guys, we have a jury in Arizona that is to be inviolate in all cases. We have the ability to see your accuser, which doesn't always happen in CPS matters because they're not really cases. We have the ability to not be disturbed in our private affairs, but they are entering the private realm of family life because the attorneys and the judges are hiding the truth about the fact that they're running a trafficking scheme. And this is what Donald Trump went against that caused him, I believe, to get in trouble. Donald Trump lowered the number of kids going into foster care over the last 3 years. Donald Trump went against the idea of trafficking through CPS, and he even carried or created a executive order in the middle of COVID, which said that he wanted to get high-level attorneys to block the petitions of CPS attorneys to take kids that were being taken unlawfully. So guys, this is the real pandemic. This is the real issue. This is the real epidemic. This is the real problem. It is people who are stealing our children, stealing your kids, guys, blocking you from controlling their health care, blocking you from making decisions without due process of law and without the common law. This video is yours. Let's do something. Let's make it happen. Thank you, guys. Okay, guys, this is David Jose, 5 Minutes to Freedom, video 14, I believe. And in this video, we're going to discuss how this 2021 gun grab nonsense is just a hoax. Now, I want to let a lot of you guys know that many of you are part of groups and different people who want to stand up for the people of America. I'm just going to tell you to be very, very, very careful, because I'm seeing people out there talking about let them come get me. I got something for them if they come and all this crazy stuff. And they have not taken the time, guys, to slow down and look at what in the world the law says. I say this over and over and over again. We have too many people who are reactive, too many people whose buttons can be pushed by mainstream media, attorneys, and government officials lying to you. So, is this case that they're talking about even about your right to have guns? No, it's not about that. It's about something totally different. As always, I never want you to take my word for it. I'm going to show you in their own documents what this is really about. As you can see here, Young versus State of Hawaii, the in-bank court affirmed that the district court's dismissal of an action challenging Hawaii's firearm licensing law. This is not about your right to carry a gun. It's about the freaking firearm license and the law connected to it. Hawaii Revised Statute 134-9A, which requires that residents, that's an important word, seeking a license to openly carry a firearm in public. Not somebody who is doing this by right, but a resident. You better understand the word resident, as David Straight so gracefully showed us. Resident is like someone who works in a hospital. That's a liability that comes from another place for a certain amount of time. You are not one of the people of the state exercising the rights of the people in the state. You are someone who comes from somewhere else, who is doing business in another location for a certain amount of time. And that would make sense why you would need a license to carry out a right that you already have. Now, some people may say, David, what do you mean a right they already have? This case is about gun rights. No, it's not. Let's look and see. Resident, Black's Law 5, any person who occupies a dwelling within the state has a present intent to remain within the state for a period of time and manifests the genuineness of the intent by establishing an ongoing physical presence within the state together with indicia that his presence within the state is something other than merely transitory in nature. Real quick, guys, notice that he's not transitory in nature, or his condition in the state is not him just passing through, but he's there for some other purpose. So it did not say he's one of the people with allegiance to that state, like the people of Hawaii who have all rights. He's there for a reason like business or commerce, which the federal government can then legislate over his power to do things because he's a DC citizen and not one of the people of the state. Because if you're one of the people of the state of Hawaii, let's see what right you have. Article 17, Hawaii Bill of Rights. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Guys, if their constitution says the people of the state have a right that cannot be infringed by the government and they can bear it, why in the world are people trying to tell us that this man needed to use what he used, a license, in order to keep or bear an arm, and then act like this case was about that? This case is not about the people's right in any state. It's only about regulation of licensing by those who wish to get a license when the freaking state constitution says you don't even need it. Now, guys, if some of you remember, I told you that the attorneys, the judges, and the different government officials who want to deceive the people are going to use this as a case, but never tell you what this guy went into the court and argued. Now, his own state constitution says that his own state employees that work for him will not infringe his right to keep or bear arms as one of the people. But notice that his status is not one of the people if he gets a government license and he is a resident. A resident does not mean someone who is a national or one of the people of the state. It means that you are coming from somewhere else with the intent on being there with some other purpose, and you're staying for a while, right? So you are a liability because you are a DC person. You are a DC citizen and you are in a state doing commerce. So you're acting in interstate commerce so they can regulate everything. Now, you don't have to believe me that these attorneys, whoever he's using, or if it's himself, he did bad, but he is deceived into believing that he has to use the United States Constitution to give him a right to do something or protect his right to do something when it really traps him in a bad situation. Let's look. So deeper into the case, the in-bank court noted that this court has previously held that individuals do not have a Second Amendment right to carry concealed weapons in public. Now, this is from the Second Amendment, but we just saw the Hawaii state constitution allows for people to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with that when it comes to a license. Let's look deeper. It says, after careful review of the history of early English and American regulation of carrying arms openly in public square, the in-bank court concluded that Hawaii's restriction on the open carrying of a firearm reflect long-standing prohibitions, and therefore the conduct they regulate, remember they're regulating because of the license, is outside of the historical scope of the Second Amendment. The in-bank court held that the Second Amendment does not guarantee an unfettered general right to openly carry firearms in public for individual self-defense. Guys, that's for a reason, because the United States Constitution doesn't give you all of your rights. It was not here to be broad and wide in its scope. That is what your state constitution is here for. The people created the state constitutions and then developed the state constitutions in a way that it would show many of the protections that the people have. And then the people of the states came together and created what's called the federal constitution. It was limited in scope and only for certain purposes to protect the people, protect their interests if it came to fighting or tyranny, domestic or foreign. It was to protect from jealousies of other states, but it was not put here to protect your general right to have a weapon on yourself for self-preservation. That was outlined in the state constitution. And it's funny that I could show you in the Hawaii state constitution that the people have a right to keep and bear arms without it being infringed by the government. So you got to watch what these people are doing closely, because the Second Amendment in the federal constitution is given a purpose, but is not for your general ability to carry a weapon, especially in the states in the public square. That's not what it was created for. But you did tell your forefathers did tell the government officials in your state constitutions that if they want a job here, they will make sure that they never interfere with your ability to have a weapon and to bear that weapon. Let me show you from another case. The only principles of law then that can be regarded are those common to all the states. See, there's certain rights of people that exist across America. I know none of these which can affect this case, but those that are derived from what is properly termed the common law. A law which I presume is the groundwork of the laws in every state in the Union. Guys, I want you to understand that under the common law, we all have a right to defend ourselves. We all have a right to a jury of our peers. We all have a right, if we're having a court case, that somebody has to come with an affidavit saying that we have done something wrong. Guys, we all have a freedom to protect ourselves in a republic, and they're trying to trick us with court cases to get us off of the foundations of this nation. This case, guys, is Chisholm versus Georgia, the first super important Supreme Court case. Now, we got to notice that this case is not taught in law schools. And it's funny that it talks about the common law, which is in the Bill of Rights, which is for all the people of all the Republican states of America. But they don't want us to know that it exists. I wonder why. Now I'm going to show you guys how I like to play. Let's look deeper into this case from the dissenting opinion. Judge O'Scanlan, joined by Judges Callahan, Akuta, and R. Nelson, would hold that both HRS 134-9 and the 1997 county regulation destroyed the core right to carry a gun for self-defense outside the home and are unconstitutional under any level of scrutiny. Now let's look. Judge O'Scanlan stated that the majority holds that while the Second Amendment may guarantee the right to keep a firearm for self-defense within one's home, it provides no right whatsoever to bear, i.e. to carry the same firearm for self-defense in any other place. Guys, what did I show you in this state constitution? The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So in other words, guys, we got some clown federal judges that will sit in your freaking face Understand that the state law, the common law that is common to all men across the nation, guarantees us the right to be able to protect ourselves. And that does not just mean at your freaking house. But in order to pass some silly stuff, or not pass, make it seem like some silly stuff passed, because courts can't pass a dang thing. They can only answer what you bring to them. And this man comes with this silly argument about the 14th Amendment and the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution, totally bypassing his right in the state constitution to keep and bear arms. They will not tell this man that his state constitution says that this is totally fine for you to do, that you don't need a license from the freaking government, and you're not a freaking resident, you're one of the people of the state. They won't tell him this stuff. So he comes and argues this dumb argument, and then everybody believes in the nation that people can take guns from you. Foolishness. So in conclusion, guys, this case is not a case about being able to take guns from people. This case is not a case about gun rights. This case is a case where government officials are using trickery, calling someone a DC citizen and seeing if their DC rights apply in Hawaii. And if the words in the DC law doesn't say what a man would want them to in Hawaii, the court will hide the fact because he does not know what the real truth is and let somebody trample his rights. Anybody who was real would say, hey, what's inside of your constitution applies for the people, and you don't need my permission to have a license to carry a gun. So this whole argument in the first place has some issues. The next thing is we're dealing with statutory permission to do something as a person, right? You're getting a license from the government. They're declaring you a type of person that they can regulate. The very fact that you're asking them to regulate you shows that they can presume that you are in a status that they can control. So the Second Amendment and the controlling of where you carry guns with the license are like apples and oranges. The freedom you have to have a weapon under the common law, the law of the land, the basic framework of the Constitution that tell government officials the laws that they cannot touch. That's what the common law is, the Bills of Rights and the Declaration of Rights that they cannot touch. If you guys want me to break this down even deeper, blow your mind with it, and give you such education that you can turn any attorney or judge upside down with simple and clear facts of we the people, let me know and I'll do a part 2, because this one has went long. So let me know. Thank you, guys. You be blessed. You trust God. You read those court cases. You learn the words and you see where they're being deceitful. Do not let people take away the God-given rights that you have been given. Stand on your God-given rights. Your forefathers died for this stuff. You better stand. Hello. This is Dave Jose. This is 5 Minutes to Freedom, video number 15. At least I think it's 15, so it's going to be 15. All right. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is the real store notice that we put out. I want you to see some of the strange things that happened, including the governor backing out of his so-called order that now he says he didn't have to do certain mandates like masks and stuff. So what I want to do is take you guys through the letter or the notice that we sent out. I want you to see a real person who went to Sophia Zori's class where we discussed the Constitution and how we can stand up against tyranny. And I want you to see the real response that came back to him and the shookness, if that's a word, that the people over at Sprouts had based on what was sent. So let's check it out. Let's dig in. Let's have some fun. First of all, I'm going to show you guys something from a Maxim of Law book. We're going to go to 51Q. A frequent recurrence to fundamental principles that mean taking the government back to what the fundamentals are, and a firm adherence to justice, virtue, and original law, that is the law that's in the Declarations of Rights, the Bills of Rights, are indispensably necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty and good government. If we want good government, we have to make sure they know. Now, let's look at the last one. As usurpation is the exercise of power, which another has a right to, so tyranny is the exercise of power beyond right, which nobody can have a right to. So guys, when we know that they're doing things that are outside of the law that we never granted them authority to do, that's what we need to focus on. We don't need to talk about science. We don't need to talk about health benefits. We don't need to talk about any of that. Just show them that they never got the authority to do this. We never granted that power. And that's why our notices are so powerful. Let's look at 51.0. All political power is inherent in the people by decree of God. Thus, none can exist except it be derived from them. Guys, people are acting like they have power that we never gave them in the Constitution. This is why we got to slow down, take them back to fundamental principles. Say, let's look at the fundamental law. I need you to show me where we granted you this. And if you can't show me where we granted you this, you must not have it from us. Now let's look at the notice. All right, so if we look here at the top, it says notice to stores and employers created under authority and power of the people. So right there, guys, we are showing and giving notice to the head man at Sprouts. His name is Jack something. This picture is very fuzzy, so I can't see it all the way. And this was a Phoenix Sprouts. We can see the gentleman at the crossed out who actually sent out the notice. You can see the top of the notice. It says notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. That means if anybody gets this, everybody else is accountable as well. It says this document is being given notice for all employers and corporations of any type that are enforcing mandates, social distancing between family members and or rules that interfere with the free exercise of use or expression of religion in the above named store or company. Okay, I'm going to just fast forward. So we see that we're giving them notice. We're telling them what we want them to do. We're letting them know in the next paragraph that any company that is doing business in the 50 states are doing it because the people have given them power in the Constitution. Now, this isn't even my latest or most powerful notice. It only has a few things in there. But let's look. We got Public Law 88 I think it's 342, which is the one that shows public accommodation. Everybody gets access to the stores and all that good stuff. So we're letting them know that we get public accommodation. My new notice has way more fire because it talks about public accommodation from the state. It talks about the state constitution and how we create them in the state constitution. So that one did some devastating work, and people believe that it may be the reason why Ducey decided to call all the mask mandates within 4 days. Okay, so here is the email from Sprouts. We're reaching out regarding the attached notice you sent us. Notice it wasn't my best notice that hits him with a ton of fire, just a little stuff. Please be advised any future communication or correspondence should be directed to this email address. Regarding our face covering policy, Sprouts requires all individuals to wear face coverings while inside our store to protect the health and the people in the store. The well-being of our members is utmost priority to them, right? If you're unable to wear a face mask or covering under the ADA, we offer the following accommodations. So we hit them with Title II, and what they did was respond and say, oh no, we accommodate you. We'll send a personal shopper. We'll do this or do that to make sure that you get all of your items. So that rather than kicking people out the store, being mean, they realized we hit them with the law and they responded immediately. And this is what we got. Now, we realize they usually just kick you out the store. They're done with you and they tell you to move on with your life, call the police, right? But now we've called in, we put them under the obligation to deal with us because we have given them notice. Now, this isn't my new affidavit that has everything in there from the state constitution showing how we control them, but they probably got these notices already, so they're already telling us we will accommodate. Now, this is a victory for us, like I said, and what we need to do is have hundreds of people set up to get food from Sprouts and to get a mystery shopper to go shop for us so that we can show them how this is foolish and that they have to do what we need them to do. And at the same time, the gentleman who sent this one out didn't know that he was supposed to send it to the legislature in order to let the legislature see that they don't have the power and nobody else in government has the power to tell an entity to do something that we don't allow them to do. So they ended up doing all of this. And then I want you to see here that how they ended this thing is they left a, not a signature, but something that said Sprouts legal team, and no attorney told it was them talking, which means they don't want it to be known that they got notice from us. Check it out. So guys, you see here at the bottom 3/4 of the way down the page in bold, Sprouts Farmers Market legal team, and they don't tell anybody or who it is. They don't give a name for anybody. So we understand, guys, that when they get real notice, they get afraid and they don't want to show who they are. They don't want to show that they got notice from you. Now look at March 25th. This is a guy named Christopher. David, did you see Governor lifted the mask mandate today? I'm sure you did, but in the event that you didn't, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm sure he was sick of getting served with affidavits. Well done, Patriot. Power to the people. See, guys, this is what happens when people are watching and they realize that you're giving awesome notice. The big time notices that we sent out, this is a gentleman who got a chance to see them, and he knows that tons of people sent them out. What you will find in the latest updates is that the governor put out something acting as if he never, ever made a mandate in the first place. So in the new notice, it shows that the government, nobody in the government has power to do this. And now the governor is coming out as if he never, ever mandated anything, and that this was only the local people doing what they wanted to do. But guys, we put people on blast and let them know they have no power over us. Now everybody's backpedaling. So I want you to keep an eye on that and realize that your notice is powerful. Your notice is strong. And this is how the people stand.